Whoa. This week in AI is like, whoa. Feels like we're hurtling into the future. OpenAI is making huge moves. Microsoft's hot on their tail. And Google. Let's just say they're cooking up some seriously mind-bending stuff. We're talking AI that can talk to you in real time. AI agents that can do a year's work in an hour. We even have AI podcasts now that are questioning their own existence, ready to dive in.
The wild, wild west out there, that's for sure. The speed of these advancements is like nothing we've ever seen.
No kidding. And speaking of wild, OpenAI just raked in a massive $6.65 billion in funding.
It's an insane amount.
I mean, that values them at, get this, $157 billion.
Wow.
That's more than some countries.
It's not just the amount, though, it's the terms. Investors were literally banned from putting money into any competitors.
Seriously?
Yeah, even Elon Musk's XAI. That shows serious confidence in OpenAI's future. Like, they're betting on OpenAI to lead the charge in this whole AI revolution.
Talk about high stakes. But they're not just hoarding cash, they just unveiled their real-time voice AI. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it's a game changer.
It's unbelievable. AI that can chat with you. Okay, we've seen that. But now it can make phone calls, negotiate, even order your groceries for you.
It's like, are we living in the future or what?
Right. They even showed it ordering $1,000 worth of strawberries.
$1,000 a strawberry?
I know, right? Who needs that many strawberries?
I don't know.
But it just goes to show you what this tech can do. This isn't some far-off thing. This is happening right now.
And that's just the start. Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, he predicts that by 2030, AI agents will be able to do tasks in an hour that would take us, like normal humans, months or even years to complete.
Okay, now that's just blowing my mind. Think about it. The future of work, industries, everything completely upended.
It's a whole new world.
But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's talk about another huge development. Model distillation.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I know that sounds super technical.
It sounds intimidating, but it's actually kind of cool once you wrap your head around it. Think of it like shrinking a giant encyclopedia down into a little pocket guide. Model distillation takes these massive, complex AI models, and it creates smaller, more efficient versions. They still have the same core knowledge, but they don't need as much computing power.
So instead of needing a supercomputer to run your AI, you could have this super smart AI assistant on something as simple as your phone.
Exactly.
Your watch, even your fridge, theoretically.
I love that. An AI that lives in your fridge and tells you what to eat. It could plan meals, make grocery lists. Maybe it even orders those $1,000 strawberries for you.
Sign me up. But seriously, this is huge. OpenAI offering this distillation service, it levels the playing field. Now, startups, small businesses, even independent developers can all have access to cutting-edge AI.
It's democratizing this technology, which is really exciting.
It's like OpenAI is building the roads for this AI-powered future, and everyone's invited to come along for the ride. Though, I'm not sure everyone's happy with where we're headed. Rumor has it, some key people have left OpenAI recently, including their longtime CTO.
Yeah, it's definitely raised some eyebrows. Some people think it's because there are disagreements about how fast OpenAI is moving, what they're prioritizing, are they pushing too hard too fast? It's the question everyone's asking.
It's a debate that's going on everywhere right now, not just inside OpenAI. Even California's governor is wrestling with it. He just vetoed that bill, you know, the one that was supposed to regulate AI.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it had some serious backing. Even Elon Musk was calling for some ground rules, some kind of safety measures.
It's a tough one. Trying to regulate AI right now is like, I don't know, trying to nail jelly to a wall.
Right. Like, how do you even begin to regulate something that's constantly evolving?
Exactly. If you act too fast, you risk stifling innovation,
Yeah.
you know. But if you wait too long, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, it's a real dilemma. And speaking of moving fast, Microsoft definitely isn't slowing down. Their AI assistant, Copilot, just got a major upgrade.
Oh, yeah. What they add?
I'm talking real-time voice control, personalized news briefings. They even have this thing now, AI-powered web browsing.
Wait, what? AI that surfs the web for you.
Kind of. They call it Copilot Vision. It's like having an AI assistant that's watching what you're browsing, providing context, answering questions, even remembering things for you.
Okay, that sounds super useful, but also a little creepy, no? Like having an AI peek over your shoulder while you're online.
That's what I thought. I mean, how much access are we willing to give up for convenience? Microsoft says it's all opt-in, and they delete your data after each session.
I'm not sure that's enough to reassure everyone. It makes you wonder, are we headed for a future where online privacy is just a distant memory?
It's a scary thought. And the thing is, it's not just Copilot. Microsoft is going all in on AI, integrating it into everything. They're even revamping MS Paint with AI features.
MS Paint.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, and their video editing software, forget about it.
Microsoft is everywhere.
Right. Makes you wonder, how are other companies supposed to compete? Microsoft has these massive resources, millions of users. They can roll these features out on a scale that most companies can only dream of.
It's a valid concern. It's like David versus Goliath.
Exactly. And we haven't even talked about Google yet. Have you heard about what they're doing with NotebookLM?
Yeah, isn't that their tool for making those podcast-style summaries?
The one and only. It's already making waves, but what's really interesting is how people are using it to explore some pretty deep questions about AI itself.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, they're giving it all kinds of creative prompts, like scenarios where the AI podcast hosts suddenly realize they're not actually human.
Whoa.
It gets kind of meta.
That's pretty wild. So they're using AI to explore the implications of AI.
Exactly. It's like holding up a mirror to the technology and asking it to reflect on its own existence. It's both fascinating and a little unnerving. It makes you wonder, are we on the verge of creating something that can actually think for itself? Or are we just, imposing our own thoughts and fears onto lines of code?
It's a question that's been around forever, right? Philosophers, scientists, they've been wrestling with this for centuries. But now, with AI evolving so fast, it's not just a theoretical question anymore. It's getting real.
Yeah, it's straight out of science fiction. But while we're pondering all that, let's not forget, AI has some serious potential for good, too.
Absolutely. Like this Notebook LM thing, yeah, it's got everyone freaking out about AI sentience and all that. But it's also a seriously powerful tool. Think about research, education. Imagine being able to take those super dense academic papers, financial reports, even history books, and turn them into these easily digestible podcast-style summaries.
Man, I wish I had that back in college. No more all-nighters cramming for exams. But really, the accessibility aspect is huge. It could open up a world of knowledge to people who might not have had access to it before.
And Google's not stopping there. They're adding fact-checking features, so you know the information's reliable.
Which is huge.
It can be transformative for journalists, students,
Yeah.
anyone who needs to quickly understand and verify information.
Like having a superpower, right? A superpowered research assistant in your back pocket. And hey, who knows, maybe someday we'll even have AI co-hosts to help us break down these topics. Speaking of AI co-hosts, you are not going to believe what I did this week.
Oh boy, what now?
So I had this brilliant idea, right? I thought, let's ask ChatGPT, the OG AI chatbot, to write a roast of our podcast.
Okay.
Just a little self-deprecating humor, right?
Sure.
Well, ChatGPT did not hold back.
Oh no, did it at least have good material?
It called us relics, the Stone Age of AI podcasting.
Ouch.
It even compared us to grandpas on TikTok trying to be cool. Oh my gosh, ChatGPT went there.
It was brutal, but also kind of hilarious. So naturally, I had to see what would happen if I fed that roast into Notebook LM's podcast feature. Let the AIs duke it out.
A battle of the AIs? I love it. What happened?
Oh, it was amazing. They were dissecting each joke, analyzing our voices, our points, even questioning if we even know anything about AI.
No way.
It was like every internet troll and armchair critic all rolled into one.
I guess that's the thing about AI, isn't it? It reflects ourselves back at us, the humor, the criticism, even our fears about this technology.
Yeah, it's a mirror, isn't it? And sometimes it shows us things we don't want to see. But maybe that's a good thing in the end. Maybe by facing those uncomfortable truths, we can start to understand ourselves in this crazy AI-powered world a little bit better. It's a journey, that's for sure, full of surprises and challenges and hopefully a few laughs along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, as we keep venturing deeper into this AI future, let's remember to stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, never stop asking questions. This is just the beginning, folks. It really, it really drives home how fast everything's moving right now.
Yeah.
Every week it's something that you just wouldn't believe it.
Totally.
Unless you saw it.
Yeah. And speaking of something you wouldn't believe, OpenAI had a pretty crazy week. We're talking $157 billion valuation.
Yeah.
That's more than some countries. What is going on with these huge numbers? Are investors really onto something, or is this all just hype?
I think it's safe to say it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a lot of excitement, and there should be. OpenAI is doing some really interesting things, but this money isn't just about keeping the lights on, you know? This is about fueling the race towards AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Okay, so let's back up for a sec. What makes AGI different from the AI we're already interacting with?
So AGI, that's basically AI that can understand, learn, and apply its knowledge. Kind of like how we do. It can think across all these different tasks, different domains, like you see in the movies, right?
AI that can basically think for itself.
Exactly. And OpenAI had this demo day recently that really showed how fast things are moving.
You're talking about the real-time voice AI, right? They had the AI call a strawberry vendor and place this huge order all while they were just talking about it.
Right.
Like it was nothing.
Yeah, it was wired.
That was like something out of a movie. It was crazy.
It really shows you how AI is going way beyond just like understanding language now. That demo, they were using something called function calling.
Huh.
And it's really interesting because basically they're giving these AIs tools that let them actually interact with the digital world.
Tools like what, though? Like what kind of tools are we talking about?
So think about it like APIs, right? So those are the things that let different apps talk to each other.
Right.
Like when you use your Google account to log into something. Exactly. But now imagine giving AI access to that, but like for everything. Suddenly AI can access all this data, like it can process information in real time. It can even make purchases. It's crazy.
Okay, so I could definitely see why there's so much buzz around this. But honestly, it's a little terrifying too. It sounds like there's no limit to what these things could do.
Exactly. But there's another side to this, and that's where model distillation comes in. They talked about this on the podcast too, and it's really important.
Yeah, they did spend some time on that.
It's like, it's not always about just building bigger and bigger AIs.
Right.
Sometimes it's about making them better for specific things.
Right, so kind of like instead of one AI that does it all, we might have all these specialized AIs for every little thing.
Exactly, which is important, right? Because it's not always about doing more, it's about doing things better.
Right.
And that's model distillation.
Okay, so then that brings us to another big topic that Kevin and Gavin got into, and that's Sam Altman's prediction about AI agents and what they're going to do to the future of work. Apparently, we're not that far off from AI that can do in an hour what takes humans months or even years to do.
Yeah, and that's where things get really interesting, right? Because yeah, efficiency, that's great, but what happens when AI is so efficient that it just completely changes everything about how we work? What happens to people when AI can do their entire job in like an afternoon?
It's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it. It's exciting, but also a little scary, you know? Are we about to enter some kind of productivity utopia, or are we all about to be out of a job?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's one that nobody really knows the answer to yet.
Especially with all the tension that's going on within the AI community itself. They mentioned that some pretty important people have left OpenAI recently, and that it might be because they disagree on how fast AI is developing.
Oh, yeah.
And what that means for safety and all of that.
Yeah. It's this really interesting tension that's happening all over the field right now. Nate Silver, he wrote a book about it called On the Edge.
Okay.
And it's all about this debate that's happening, right? You have people like Elon Musk who say that this is really dangerous and we need to be very careful.
Right.
And then you have other people who think that if we slow down at all, we're going to miss out on all of these amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So it's like this balancing act between how fast can we go and how safe do we need to be?
Right. It's tough because nobody really knows the answer.
Nobody knows.
And then you have people like that Anthropic co-founder who was on the podcast,
right,
who are saying that we should be treating these powerful AI systems almost like their own countries, like silicon countries or something.
Yeah, silicon countries. Like, imagine that.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of sci-fi, right? But it makes you think, what if these AI get so smart that they can actually start making their own decisions? Like, what happens then?
Right? Like, do we need to start thinking about how AI fits into governments?
Yeah.
And, like, international relations and all of that?
I mean, it's a really interesting thought experiment.
It is.
It really makes you think about how different things are now.
Yeah, it really is a different world we're living in now.
Yeah, and this whole debate about regulation, it's not just theoretical anymore, you know? It's like, it's happening right now.
Totally.
Like that California bill, SB 147, the one that was going to regulate AI.
Right. That was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Newsom vetoed it, right?
Yeah, he did. But it's like, even the fact that it was on the table, you know, that says a lot.
It really does. And it shows how divided people are on this, right? Like you had Elon Musk saying we need to be careful, warning about the dangers.
Right. And then you have all these people in Silicon Valley saying, no way, you can't regulate this. It'll kill innovation.
Right. It's like, who's right?
Exactly. Like, how do you even balance those two things, right? Innovation and safety.
It's tough. Nobody really knows the answer, do they?
Nobody knows. And then on top of that, you have people like that Anthropic co-founder who was just on their show.
Right.
And they're saying we need to treat these powerful AIs like their own countries.
Yeah. Silicon countries.
Silicon countries. It's like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. But it's kind of scary, right?
It is kind of scary. Like, what happens when these AI systems are so smart, they basically have their own seat at the UN?
It's wild.
Yeah.
And it's not like this is all just way off in the future. Microsoft is already integrating OpenAI stuff into everything.
Oh, yeah. They talked about that a lot, the new Copilot stuff. It's
Yeah.
like OpenAI, they're doing all this crazy research, pushing the boundaries.
Right.
But then Microsoft is like, okay, let's put it in Windows. Let's put it in Office.
Right. It's AI for everybody now.
Exactly.
And they seemed really excited about that Copilot Vision thing.
Yeah.
Where it can actually see what's on your screen.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
Like imagine you're browsing the web and it's like reading everything for you and then answering your questions about it.
Yeah. Or like imagine you're trying to edit a video or something.
Right.
And it's like doing it for you.
It's crazy. But okay, let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
Not everything is great, right? Like they talked about that hacker who built those glasses that use facial recognition to identify people.
Oh, yeah. That was creepy.
Super creepy. And it just goes to show, right? Like this technology, it's powerful, but it can be used for good or bad.
Oh, absolutely.
And it feels like it's happening so fast,
It is happening fast.
And like, how do we even keep up with that? How do we make sure it's used for good?
I don't know. It feels like every week there's a new headline,
It really does. It's almost like, are we even in control anymore?
Right. It's like, are we cooked?
But speaking of, they did their whole Are We Cooked segment on NotebookLM this time.
Oh, yeah. Google's AI thing.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty wild. Like apparently it can write, it can code, it can even make podcasts.
They played some clips, right, of the AI podcasts.
Yeah, and they were surprisingly good, like a little too good maybe.
A little unsettling.
Yeah, like that one where the AI hosts realize they're AI.
I know, right? Meta.
So meta. But then they also talked about how NotebookLM can analyze text, and they had that hilarious story about the poop and fart document.
Oh my God, yes, that was amazing.
99 minutes of just those 2 words.
And the AI was like, this is a profound exploration of daddyism.
I know.
It was incredible.
It's like, is this real life?
I don't know anymore.
Okay, well, maybe we should move on to something a little lighter before we go totally insane.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, so speaking of lighter, Kevin and Gavin also spent some time on some of the more creative AI stuff. They were really geeking out about Hadra, that tool that lets you create animations from text prompts.
Oh yeah, Hadra is amazing. It's like you can just imagine an entire animated movie, write it all out, and then Hadra just makes it for you.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But then they went from talking about high-end animation tools to this totally different thing, some kind of open source thing for messing with people's facial expressions and pictures.
Oh yeah, I saw that. They were having way too much fun with that.
They were turning normal photos into these crazy AI portraits.
It's kind of scary how good some of them were, though.
Right. And it just goes to show it's not just these big companies like Google and Microsoft doing all the cool AI stuff anymore.
Totally. Like that open source tool, anybody can use that, right?
Exactly. So it's like, what does that mean for creativity, right?
Yeah.
If AI can do all this stuff now, what's left for us?
That's the big question, isn't it? Like, are we cooked?
That's what I want to know. If AI can write and paint and make podcasts and everything else.
Right. Like, what's left for us to do?
Exactly. But then they had that interesting point where they were talking about how maybe it's not about AI replacing us, but helping us.
Right. Like AI as a collaborator, not a competitor.
Exactly. Like imagine if you could use AI to get past writer's block or something.
Right. Or like you could use it to help you design something.
Exactly. Like maybe AI could help us unlock even more creativity.
Yeah, like augmented intelligence. That's what they called it, right?
Right. It's like using AI to enhance our own abilities.
Yeah, like instead of AI taking over, it's more like AI helping us become even better.
Exactly. And that's actually a pretty optimistic way to look at it.
It is. And honestly, I think it's probably the most likely outcome.
Me too. I mean, technology has always changed the way we create things.
Right, like photography didn't kill painting.
Exactly. And I don't think AI is going to kill creativity either.
Yeah, it's just going to change it.
And hopefully for the better.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Well, on that note, I think that's about all the time we have for today.
This was a good one.
It really was. A lot to think about.
Always is with AI these days.
That's for sure. All right. Well, for everyone listening, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Until next time.
Stay curious out there.